Hi, Attorney Steve Vondran. We're back with Foreclosure Warrior talking about improper. Improper, what's that mean? That means a person is filing a lawsuit on their own behalf without an attorney. What's interesting that we see a new phenomenon is that a lot of people are representing themselves. Why? It's not that they don't want to hire attorneys, it's just that this process is expensive. If you listen to the video modules on getting a TRO and an injunction, filing a complaint, and I told you about all the things that had to be done, it's an expensive proposition. So what you see, people that have grounds but don't have the means to hire an attorney, they have no choice. They resort to improper, representing themselves, filing their own lawsuits, doing their own legal research. Now that can be tough, but if that's all you have, more power to you, kudos to you, and whatnot. But understand what you're facing. When you're improper, as we talked about on one of our videos, they're always going to try to remove the case to federal court. Even if the case ultimately gets kicked back to the state court, they waste a considerable amount of time and resources pulling you into federal court to defend that, filing a motion for remand, which means if they try to remove it, you file a motion to say send it back to the state court, and then typically they file a motion to dismiss at the same time. So you're fighting not only the removal, a motion to dismiss, oftentimes there's a motion to strike. So you're fighting a lot of things. And as a homeowner without legal training, that is tough. That is tough, especially if you've sued like 3, 4, 5 different entities, it becomes very difficult. So I'm here to tell you that there's a rise in improper filings. Kudos to the people that are doing it. If they have valid legal grounds, you have to have something. If you're fighting a lawsuit and you're doing it on something like produce the note, we talked about that in another seminar series, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money, you're wasting your energy, your spirit's going to get depleted, all that stuff. It's going to make you angry. So think about it. Go through our tapes and think about, do you really think you have something good? And again, I'm one attorney. Maybe there's other attorneys that see other viable causes of action. Some of the mass joinder lawsuits that we talk about in another video, some of the mass joinder lawsuits, they put the whole system on trial. There's people that do that. I think that's a difficult road to go, but watch our video on mass joinder lawsuits. We'll talk about that. But in fighting improper, you're fighting some of the biggest, let's face it, the biggest banks and financial institutions on the planet. I mean, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, One West Bank. I mean, these are, big companies that you're taking on. And then when you add on MERS and the trustee, some people are adding on the notaries, you're talking about a major, major undertaking. So I'm not trying to discourage you and say don't file the improper, but realize what you're up against. I mean, it's a mountain of, it's a show of power that's going to be levied against you. And then when you end up in federal court and you're fighting to get it back into state court, there's a whole lot of stuff there. The lenders and the servicers, let's face the facts, lots of money. They're in the tallest buildings in the biggest of cities. So they have the resources to wear you down, and they will try to wear you down. That's part of the game plan. Part of the game plan is saying, look, if we can show this homeowner that the defense of their home is so expensive and so time-consuming and so frustrating, and if we can get a federal judge to maybe side on us on some of these issues, then we're going to wear you down. I say this only so you understand what you face. We've got a good number of calls from people that have filed their own lawsuits, that have got in and made some good, credible arguments. We've had people get past demurs. Now remember, a demur is, or motion to dismiss. If you're in federal court, it's a motion to dismiss. If you're in state court, it's going to be a demur. There's just different names for it. But we've had homeowners get past both of those. And what has happened, what we have seen happen, is the judge will say, get yourself an attorney. Now, usually it's the judge saying, you've got something here. I think you probably have something, but you're going to get over your head. You're not doing things quite right. And the judge isn't going to give you slack on things like the federal rules of civil procedure, California rules of civil procedure. The judges aren't going to hold your hand and walk you through the case. So you have to realize if you have something, it's possible that you end up with a judge saying, get yourself an attorney. That's when you need to go and, like I said, shop for an attorney, We had a video on that, finding and hiring an attorney, getting the right attorney, and you're advised at that point to get somebody that can help you. Again, it comes down to a money issue, like so many times, but what do you do? So I'm highlighting just kind of the realities of what happens in the improper setting. My heart's behind everybody that fights for their property and fights for their rights. The old saying is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And right now in this system, there's a whole lot of shenanigans going on. There's a whole lot of things being swept under the rug. You know, on one hand, the banks and the servicers will tell the federal regulators and attorney generals, I'll settle. Where do I need to write a check? And on the other hand, when you go into court, they're saying, oh, this is nonsense. There's no wrongful foreclosure. There's nothing wrong here. Oh, this is all crazy. It's tender. It's a borrower in default. So you have this dichotomy going on that's real. It's not make-believe. So, I mean, there's legitimate cases to be fought, but just understand when you go improper, this is what you're facing. Don't be bullied or intimidated. Understand the process. Education is empowering. Understand what you're facing. That's what they're going to do. That's how they're going to attack you. That's how they're going to attack the claims. So I hope you understand this. And again, we're behind you, and we wish you the best when you go improper. Thank you.